Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is how to maintain and protect an outdoor fireplace. Let's get into it. Hey, Randy, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Mike?
I'm pretty fantastic. We're going to talk about...
Yeah, what are we talking about today anyways?
You know what? We're going to talk about some how to maintain and protect an outdoor fireplace. And it's that time of year. Everybody's getting out there and they're getting their fire pits and outdoor fireplaces going and doing their thing. And sometimes they get them going and then discover, man, this doesn't seem right. So we just wanted to do an episode to go, hey, this is how you maintain and protect an outdoor fireplace. And I know, Randy, you've been digging into this one really good. So I'm going to kind of sit in the background here, which I normally do, and let you kind of run with it. But we split it into two, right? Wood burning fireplaces and then gas fireplaces. So talk to us, Randy, about wood burning fireplaces and how to maintain and protect them.
We do get this every now and then, and like you said, it's that time of year where everybody's going to start firing up their fireplaces and things like that. Wood burning, it's pretty simple, really. When it comes to the wood burning fireplace, and we'll just talk mainly about something that's like most of the ones that we see, folks that are doing, they're building either like one of our stainless steel wood burning boxes or they're doing a modular type fireplace and they're putting stone around it. And, we want to make sure first, like on the inside, just, removing any ash and debris that's on the inside of these and any unburned wood that's inside after usage. The reason being is it's outdoors. You're going to have, some moisture and things like that get built up in there. That's going to, that gets into those, mortar joints from the fire brick and stuff like that. And also you don't want to burn all that extra stuff that's going to create, just from it being wet. It's wet. So when stuff is wet, it generates and builds up more creosote, Mike, inside of the flues.
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about as well. When we talk about indoor fireplaces and wood burning, it's always about trying to keep that chimney hot.
Correct.
And push that creosote out. But when it cools off, it's a liquid and it actually will drip down the chimney. But when you're outdoors, number one, you usually have flame that's come out and kind of lap the front because that fire is going, hey, which way should I go, until you get the flue hot. But then when the fire goes out, that flue cools so quickly that you're going to have creosote build up for sure in there way differently. I mean, it makes me think of my training, Randy. I'm going back to my NFI training here. But chimneys used to be in the middle of the house. And then at a certain point in time, they started putting the fireplaces on the outside walls that created an issue with the chimneys being outside because they cool quick. Same thing with an outdoor fireplace that has a chimney on it. You want to make sure you're maintaining that as much as you do a chimney for your own home.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, just with the fireplace being outdoors like that, more from a, just our maintenance aspect, we just want to make sure that, trim back any plants, trees, grass, things of that nature that are growing in and around the fireplace that could cause any kind of fire hazard itself. And then also, we see a lot of fireplaces that are built maybe into like a partial retaining wall, and maybe they have like some types of trees or plants that are actually growing on the brick. I'm thinking like vines that are kind of growing all around the brick itself. Ideally, you want to try to keep that stuff cleaned up off of that, because those types of things they could add cracks to brick, the mortar joint, so you have premature deterioration of the exterior material of that. And over time, that's just going to weaken the chimney structure itself. So it's always best to try to keep that stuff clean as well, Mike.
Yeah, that's good stuff. A lot of simple, I call it simple because it's kind of like doing dishes, right? If you just keep up with the dishes, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I'm standing at the sink and I'm doing 5 or 6 things and I'm done. Whereas if you let this go too long, it turns into major repair. And you can tell I don't do a lot of dishes. I don't like to do a lot of dishes. It's just something that if you do it on an annual basis and make sure you stay up with it, it's no big deal. So
Yeah, and in cleaning, and exterior wise, I mean, this would kind of go for the interior wise. If it is an issue, is I've seen like different molds and algae and things like that will get built up on the exterior of the fireplace, on the interior as well, because you're still trapping moisture in there, and it's getting it's getting wet, especially if it's open front. You're getting a lot of rain. You're in Michigan, snow. So, all of the outdoor elements and stuff like that could just kind of get built up in there. So you want to try to clean that as best as possible. I'm not going to get into all of like the different cleaners. I would just encourage folks to kind of research, creosote style cleaners for the outside, mold and mildew cleaners, for the exterior, things like that to remove them. Obviously, we just want to make sure that the cleaners don't have a flammable material into them, because you don't want to create a bigger problem for yourself when you're doing the cleaning itself. And then also, I didn't bring it up at the beginning, is the cap. So a lot of the fireplaces I've noticed of late over the last few years, people are putting spark arresters, or maybe the city ordinance that requires some type of spark arrestor, and they're putting them on their outdoor fireplaces. It's one of those things that kind of second thought, or like at the very bottom of the list. Always remove that, because that's also one of the primary spots that you'll get creosote built up on, Mike. And the spark screens, if it stands up like 8 inches, you could see that black on there. You need to remove that cap and get that stuff off of there, because that's going to impede the draft, and that could create some other hazards as well on a wood burning fireplace.
Yeah, when you say take it off, you mean take it off and clean it, right?
Correct. Yeah, just remove it. A lot of times those caps just have like either some type of maybe compression screws, or maybe it goes on like a shoebox lid, and you've got some screws that that can be removed on it. Hopefully, if the homeowner did it, they know how it came off. The nice thing about outdoor wood burning fireplaces, in a lot of cases, they're not like 20, 30 feet up in the air, the chimneys themselves. So sometimes manageable with a simple step ladder. But obviously, safety. Please, think about that when you're doing that and getting on a ladder. Please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, so on the wood burning side, Randy, it's pretty much like maintaining your indoor fireplace, except it's exposed to the elements more than an indoor fireplace would be.
Yeah, because you have the exterior part of the chimney, that you want to look at. Even though on the indoor fireplace, if it's a protrusion to the outside of the house, like you had mentioned previously, a fireplace centered in the house is different than a fireplace that's on the exterior. I'll give you an example. My old house, prior to moving, I removed all of this growth and vinage from the previous owner, but there was damage to the chimney, and actually had to replace about 12 feet of the masonry brick and mortar that was damaged by the vines. We want to make sure that we get more coffee and that we get those chimneys cleaned and prepped. They get up much dirtier on the outside versus the interior versions.
Yeah, for sure.
And then chimney sweep, if it's something you don't want to tackle, you still want to try to maintain those clay liners, or depending on the wood burning, if it has a metal flue, having those chimneys clean. And if it's something that homeowner's not comfortable doing, buying the equipment, just get a chimney sweep out there. If you have an interior fireplace, have them do both at the same time, and just make sure that you have it, because you can still have a chimney fire on an exterior fireplace if it's not maintained, Mike.
Right. That's the key to the whole thing. Number one, you're maintaining for aesthetics. You want to keep the look. You spend a lot of money on a beautiful fireplace. You want to make sure you maintain that. And it's just, again, back to my dishes example. I'm going to make this thing work. If you just do some little things, and you keep up, it's not that big of a deal. But the chimney portion, that's exactly what I was thinking, Randy. If you're uncomfortable running a brush through there, or even getting up the ladder or anything of that nature, if you have chimneys on your house that you're going to have a sweep come out and take care of, have them take care of that one as well. Annual maintenance is important, and there's nothing more valuable.
Absolutely.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com, or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. Anything else you wanted to add for wood?
No, I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers everything for some, simple annual cleaning and, basic seasonal cleaning.
All right, cool. Well, let's talk about how to maintain and protect an outdoor fireplace with a gas fireplace.
Gas. Definitely a little bit more involved when you're talking about a gas. But the first thing I'd like to just touch on, Mike, is because, we talk about it all the time. Safety. Before doing anything on a gas fireplace outside, make sure the gas supply is shut off and any electrical, shut that breaker off. Ideally, I will start this with this. Ideally, it is always best to get a gas and a professional out there to service and do some maintenance on your gas fireplace. There is a lot involved with the gas fireplace. So I just wanted to start with that. Typically, Mike, with an outdoor gas fireplace, you're going to find every manufacturer is going to have some type of annual cleaning / inspection that is, recommended. And they do that. Most of them are going to do that to maintain their warranty for the clients. Usually it's going to start off with, I think we've mentioned this in previous, so when you're doing something with a gas fireplace or anything that has like electronics, it doesn't matter if it's your stove, your refrigerator inside, your manuals, always keep your manuals, for your fireplaces. And this includes your outdoor ones because they're going to have diagrams that are going to list basically all the products that are within inside of that gas fireplace. And so you're going to use that to refer back and forth because we can just start with like inspecting the burner assembly that's on the inside and the air intake holes. Now, of course, we don't expect people to know what those are, so that's where you're going to refer to these manuals. But these are just some of the pointers that are going to be out there for inspection on your outdoor unit. And that could differ between manufacturers. That's why it's important to have these manuals.
We talk about it all the time. Keep your manuals. And again, I have friends who are engineers. I've said this before. My son's an engineer. He will take the manual, he'll put it into an Excel sheet, and then he sets He sets dates that are going to ping his watch or his phone and say, hey, it's time to do this maintenance or do that. I am not an engineer. I will be looking at that fireplace and go, man, I should probably do some work on this. And I'll go grab the manual and walk through the manual because they all put in there what you should or shouldn't do. It's, to me, the habit, and I keep coming back to the dishes, right? It's just the habit of looking at these types of things. Once they're in and understanding, now I have to take care of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I have some clients, what they'll do is they'll actually just pull the information from their manuals and create themselves like a checklist of items just so, it's like when I camping with my camper, I have like a checklist that I follow, just making sure that everything is done, pre and post camping. I'm going to kind of just run through some basic stuff that is from some of the manuals and information that people will put in, that the manufacturers will put in there. We'll start with even a gas fireplace. It may be a direct vent. It may have some type of vent that distill vents out. And with gas fireplace, it's real important as far as the cap and checking that cap to make sure that a bird hasn't built any kind of nest, anything that's blocking and impeding that gas to get out of that flue pipe itself. So you want to check those kind of things. Going back to like the burner area, that might be something that a manufacturer recommends cleaning with like a lint brush or a vacuum of some kind and getting the particles off of that burner, because you want to keep those air intakes in the holes in those burners clean, because you could have some sooting problems there. And if you have maybe some soot on that burner on those outdoor units, it's going to, first it's going to be a performance issue. You're going to have poor combustion, that air fuel mixture type thing, but also maybe just getting a soft bristle brush in there and brushing that off. So that's where inspecting and cleaning the burner and the ports on the burner come into play. You may have fiberglass media in there or logs. So you want to maybe get in there. You could use a can of air spray that you use for keyboards and blow in there, and then you're going to be using your vacuum to brush that out, or if you can use that air can in there to kind of blow it back out to the front of the fireplace.
And Randy, real fast, I mean, even when it comes to maintaining the top of the fireplace fireplace, when you have glass and stuff in there, I know we talk about it with our fire pits all the time as well. Take that glass right out of the tray if that's what you have as a media. There are different things you can do with it as well. You can replace with fresh glass, new glass, or you can clean the glass. Look at your own windows on your house. They need a cleaning. Right?
Yeah.
So that's helpful as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Mike. And so you can take the glass out. Okay. So one of the things you want to be cautious with glass is this. I use fiberglass in an outdoor fire pit is you have beads of glass and then you have cut glass. If it's cut glass, we definitely don't want you just sticking your hands in there and grabbing it because it is cut glass. You're going to cut yourself. So what I do with mine is I make sure the filter's on my shop vac. I actually suck my glass out.
Right.
I make sure my shop vac is clean. My glass is in my shop vac now. I pull the top off of my shop vac and I go in with just regular dish soap. I go in there and I clean all my glass. Obviously I don't do it unless I know it's going to be a hot day because then I just lay it out in the driveway. I let it dry. Once I know it's 100% dry, I just scoop it up and I put it back in the fire pit. So you can do that. Just be cautious of the type of glass that you have. And that's just one way of kind of getting it out of there and cleaning it. This way,
right?
As you said, by doing that, Mike, you get down to the burner pan, and then that's where you can kind of get in their shop vac, use your fine bristle brush, and get some cleaning done in there.
I also discovered be cautious pulling into Randy's driveway on a hot day.
Yes.
You might get glass in your tire.
Yeah. Good thing is I always make sure that I rinse that off.
All right, so we've got the glass out. We've gotten to the burner and the pan itself. You mentioned compressed air?
Yeah, some of the manufacturers talk about compressed air in a can like you buy for your keyboard. And maybe blowing some of that stuff out. So, that's just another way to kind of blow through the burner if you've got some sooting in there. You don't want to hook up a compressor and start just throwing it in there and something because you don't want to damage something inside the fireplace, because we're getting into inspections of like the igniter and like the thermocouples and things like that on there, and if something has shifted and or moved, we don't want to blow it and then all of a sudden you're looking for a part because you put 1,000 psi's into the fire pit or something.
That's why I brought it up. That was the first thing I thought is somebody's going, man, I got a compressor. I can make this work.
Yeah, we want to be careful of that. Oh, goodness, that's awesome.
One of the things, I know it's on the list, it's down the list a little ways, but when you say, you keep saying like creosote, different things that have built up in those holes, but because they're outside, a lot of it has to do with just bugs, insects.
It does, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that is more of not so much of an annual cleaning, but that's a regular inspection, maybe even prior to even using it. Because even if it's sitting for a few days, Mike, a spider can get in there and build a web around everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you're wondering why this thing's not firing up. Well, right there at the burner where the pilot assembly's at, just clogged up with some big spider web.
Right.
So that's part of more of a regular inspection prior to every use is just taking a peek in there and making sure that there's nothing's built in, but there are, like you said, bugs. Bees love to get in like little holes and make a small little hive, those. What do they call those? Mud dauber type things?
Mud daubers, yeah.
Yeah, those types of bugs. Yeah, so that's definitely part of like an ongoing regular inspection. Along with, depending on where you're at, you may have tons of pollen dust that gets built up.
Yep.
Maybe you've got a bunch of trees and flowering that just offloads a lot of that. So we definitely want to do those types of inspections prior to every use because that could cause a regular problem. Just trying to fire it up every time you're using it.
Yeah, those little bugs, man, they are, and that's an inside the house, outside the house, doesn't matter. Those little spiders and bugs, that's the easy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the IT department when you say, hey, this isn't working. They're like, okay, did you reboot your computer?
Yeah, right.
That's what I want everyone to connect this with, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, it's not lighting up right. did you check for bugs, spiders, webs? I mean, because sometimes, a lot of times, it is that simple.
It is, and absolutely, because a lot of we're talking about gas fireplaces. The majority of outdoor gas fireplaces are open to the elements, meaning they don't have a solid glass panel front. Okay. They may have a glass wind guard that stands up 6-8 inches, but the whole rest of the interior is wide open.
Right.
Okay. There are some pavilion / patio pergola style that have a solid roof on them that may be a direct vent that have a solid glass panel, which is going to eliminate that. It's a it's a direct vent. Like I talked about, those are the types of units that have a vent pipe that may extend through the roof or out the side wall of their pavilion area. But most fireplaces outdoors in the gas are going to have an open front. So they're pulling in everything, Mike. Like you said, they're pulling in pollen, they're pulling in bugs, they're just the dust, the debris, the dirt. So that's why it's important on these gas units to get in there and not only do that annual cleaning for yourself for their warranty, but that inspection. Just take a look, just quickly take a look in there before try to fire it up, because you may end up burning some of the spider webs, or you could get some type of internal fire because you're actually burning some type of obstruction that's in there that could not only impede the proper operation of the fireplace,
right,
but it could actually ruin the fireplace. I mean, you could have there could be some other elements that could happen there that creates a hazard to that fireplace, Mike.
Right.
To make it not work anymore. Then that's a much bigger issue than taking 10, 15 minutes and just making sure that everything's cleaned.
That's a solid point. It's when you start thinking about wood burning, anything that's in the fire pit can be burned, meaning leaves, sticks. I'm not talking about throwing dumb stuff in there, but yeah, anything.
Correct. Absolutely.
But when it comes to a gas fireplace, you can't look at it that way, because wood is going to burn hotter than that gas. That gas is sitting at, if you have a 65,000 BTU burner, you're putting out 65,000 BTUs. But all of a sudden you have leaves and stuff in there, and you're like, they're in a spot, it's not that big a deal, and you light it up and they ignite. Because remember, it doesn't take a spark, it just takes heat. When you talk about you need a fuel source, you need oxygen, and you need heat to start a fire, then those leaves or whatever can start, and all of a sudden they're below that burner pan and you have damage inside of there. So very important to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because you've got wiring under there. Any debris that is in there, if it is burnt, plug a port that's on your burner, one of the holes. So it definitely could damage the burner and shorten the life of that unit itself. Because you've got controls, spark, you got your wires for your igniters, you might have a battery pack in there. That's why it's always best, refer to the manufacturer's inspections and annual cleanings. And most of them will also have some type of usage cleaning, on a regular basis prior to use. But can't stress that enough. It's definitely a good point, Mike.
I want to make sure, though, that we tell everybody this is a small percentage of the time. We're not saying that having these fireplaces is bad to have. No. Our manufacturers have made excellent fireplaces, but there's just little things that you need to do. It's kind of like my son looking at me going, "Hey, have you checked the oil on your X mark?" And I go, "That's why you're here, isn't it? What are we talking about? What are we doing right now? Why are we having this discussion?" No, it is. It's those little types of things that, as long as you maintain it, you'll have a wonderful fireplace, and you'll be able to enjoy that backyard space that everybody's moving out to. So that's really what we're trying to do, is just help everybody understand the small things that you can do that are going to extend the lifetime of your purchase. And obviously, we want to help you. We want to take care of your next purchase if you're looking for something. But we don't want to do that because, you lost the one you had. We want to do that because you've enjoyed the one you had, and she's just seen better days. Let's get another one in there.
Yeah, and one of the things I like to stress, and hopefully we have a lot of our contractors and property managers listening to this podcast on this particular issue, is we do a lot of commercial properties, a lot of multifamily properties, apartments, hotels, resorts, things of that nature that use gas fireplaces. And I would encourage the property managers to even look at these even more often because of the usage. You guys are using these units a lot more often. The burners are constantly going. I'm getting ready to do a few restaurants. I'm doing one here locally in Michigan. And so, there's a lot of the property managers out there. So use this information, please. Grab the manuals for those manufacturers. And this will just help to extend the life of these, especially not only in a residential application, but also on a commercial application.
Yeah, I agree, Randy. And we're just passing along good information that's been passed to us. It's being passed to you as well via that manual. But to have a discussion about it, to just kind of talk about some of the things that we've learned, we felt would be of value to our pros out there and to our listeners. So if there's anything that maybe we missed, if there's something you're looking at saying, man, you guys should have talked about this, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us, send us an email, get a hold of us in all the different ways you can get a hold of us. And we'd love to talk about it, bring it back up. And, as always, if there's something else that you want to hear us talk about, if there's something that you have experience with, hey, we'd love to chat with you. We'd love to talk about it here on the recording and make this a better place. Because that's really, Randy, what we're trying to do is just take our experience and share it with everybody.
Absolutely. Source of information, and hopefully, like I said, we're getting the correct information to the people that need it. And if we're not, like Mike said, just reach out to us and say, hey, you know what, you dropped the ball on this, and we'll better ourselves next time.
Absolutely. So as always, Randy, thank you so much, brother, for being here. I appreciate you taking time to do this.
Thank you. My pleasure, my friend.
We'll talk to you guys next time.